Hare Krishna! My name is Giridhari Das and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be reading a sequence of two very beautiful, very special verses from the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna gives us 10 qualities we should cultivate to attain perfection and enlightenment. So this is important. Why? Because often we get confused. There's so many instructions, so many things that are said. There are so many verses in the Bhagavad Gita. So where can we find a succinct explanation of what we can cultivate to be able to live better, to experience increasing states of consciousness, and then to attain perfection? So this verse, these two verses, will give you exactly this. So let's read this. This is from Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, and these are verses 13 and 14. And first I want to read to you the Sanskrit because it's highly purifying. Even, mistakenly pronounced, it's always very good for us to hear the shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita. So let's first hear it once. Adveṣṭā sarva-bhūtānāṁ maitraḥ karuṇa evacha nirmamo nirahaṅkāraḥ sama-duḥkha-sukhaḥ kṣamī santuṣṭaḥ satataṁ yogī yatātmā dṛḍha-niścayaḥ mayy arpita-mano-buddhir yo mad-bhaktaḥ same priyaḥ. Very nice. So this is the translation. I'll read it once and then I'll go through the 10 qualities one by one. Krishna says, one who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his or her mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Very nice. Okay, so here we go. Let's unpack this one at a time. First thing Krishna says, one who is not envious. And this is this thing about envy is something that comes up a lot in yoga. And in my experience, it's really funny because nobody thinks they're envious. It's one of the few qualities we want to find in ourselves. We don't have a hard time finding it in others, but nobody likes to see how they are also envious. So what does envious mean here? Well, the idea in yoga is that everyone in the material world who isn't enlightened is envious. Why? Because if you're in the material world, if you're here incarnated and you're not enlightened yet, that means you still have material desires. You're still hankering after things and situations in the material world. You want this car and that phone and that position and that fame and those good looks. I mean, whatever is your thing, those abilities, you want those things. And if you don't have them, somebody does have them, and thus you're envious of that person. So it means in that sense that you're always like, you kind of like, oh, but he has it or she has it, and I want that quality, I want that life, I want that family, again, whatever it is that interests you. So unless you're really focused on perfect enlightenment and you're just happy to be yourself and happy just to do your part, you always want something else and you're envious. Not only that, but this envious is used in these texts like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in the yoga tradition. It's used in the sense of wishing harm to those that have those things that you don't have. And I mean, who hasn't done that? Like I have, like I'll be the first to confess. Who hasn't cultivated a desire that somebody, falls down, gets screwed up, loses, like you want somebody else who's you think is superior to lose, to be embarrassed, to fall. You want to see them be disgraced so you can be uplifted. It's a very low sentiment. It's very bad, but we all have it and we should recognize it, because if we don't recognize it, then we won't deal with it. So it's very embarrassing. That's why few people want to see envy in themselves, because it's really like a very unpleasant nasty little quality to have. So Krishna says the first thing, who is not envious. Okay, so that's something we can definitely work on. Second thing, he says, but is a kind friend to all living entities. And this is very important in yoga. Because in some religions you have the concept of being good to all humans, right? In Christianity, Jesus famously said, and love thy neighbor as you love yourself. So loving thy neighbor, your human neighbor, right? So loving humans is certainly a wonderful quality to cultivate, but in yoga, there's a step further. Love all living entities. Because in yoga, we don't distinguish so much between human and non-human, because we know they're all souls, right? The first thing we learn in the Bhagavad-gita is that all living entities are souls. Just like me, they just have a different body. So you have a different body from mine, and then the dog has a body that's even more different from mine, and the plant, but they're all just different bodies, but inside that they're all souls like me. Equally a divine spark of God. So we want to be friends to all living entities. So in yoga, there's this call it's a very ecological call. We have to take care of the world, of the whole planet, of all the species. You have to be a good friend to all living entities. So it's a higher level of love for all living entities, from Earth and from beyond Earth, everywhere. So that's the second quality, be a friend to all living entities. 3, who does not think himself a proprietor. This is very important. This is a topic that's easily confused, because people confuse not being a proprietor, who does not think himself a proprietor, from not being a proprietor. So people might think that, if you're a true spiritualist, you must not have any belongings. And you have, especially in the Vedic tradition, you have these renounciants. You still find them in India. They'd be walking around naked, covered in ashes or something. And in the stories, in the old books, in the Puranas, you have these stories of people just, walking around, just, either naked or with almost nothing, whatever. So you might think that, to be a true yogi, I must abandon all possessions. But no, not at all. Who is listening to this verse? It's Arjuna. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. Who is Arjuna? Arjuna is none less than the Prince Emperor of the world. I mean, you think Bill Gates, no, it used to be Bill Gates. You think Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk is rich, but no. I mean, Arjuna was like a zillionaire, he was like the Prince Emperor of the world. So these people had furniture made of gold. I mean, they're like super vastly impossibly rich. And he's listening to this verse, and he actually wanted to give everything up and become a beggar. And Krishna says, no, you can't do that. That's not who you are. So it's not about renouncing possessions. I mean, after listening to the Bhagavad-gita, Arjuna continues to be the Prince Emperor. And he's a perfect yogi. He's an avatar. So what it means is not to think of yourself as proprietor. So it's a state of mind, which is what yoga is. It's about consciousness. What is your consciousness? What is your state of mind in relation to your belongings? And the correct state of mind is that you know that nothing really belongs to you, including your body. My body is not I say my body just to be practical, but I know it doesn't belong to me. I didn't make it. God made it. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to God. Everything I have belongs to God. Now, I understand that these things have been put in my, management for now. I'm taking care of these things for now. So Krishna says, okay, you can have this body. Thank you very much. You can have this camera and these books or whatever. And these clothes. So now they've been lent to me. They're under my, custodianship for now. And at any minute, at any second, these things can be taken away from me. And the yogi knows that. So he's not attached to them. He says, okay, I've got him now. And what is my dharma? That was Arjuna's mentality. Okay, I'm the Prince Emperor. So what is my dharma? And he was totally focused on his dharma. Okay, I've got to serve the people, got to make sure everybody has clothing and food and health and education and is happy, and all the animals, because he's a friend to all living entities, because they would make sure the animals were all being taken care of as well. So he was using his wealth to fulfill his dharma. Do you see? And that's what you have to do. That's what whatever you have, okay, I'm using this to fulfill my dharma. But it's not mine. It belongs to God. So that's very important. So, and then he says, free from false ego. Now, what is false ego? False ego is a translation of the Sanskrit term ahaṅkār, which is super important to understand. Ahaṅkār is like, you really have to understand ahaṅkār to be able to understand yoga. So translated, false ego. What is ego? Ego is the Greek word for I. So false I, the false identification with who I am. And what's that about? It's thinking you're the body. Okay, that's why the first 20 verses of the Bhagavad-gita is Krishna saying you're not the body. Because that's the first thing we get wrong. We think we're the body. So if you think you're the body, then you're getting everything wrong from then on. Because if you don't know who you are, how are you going to know what to do? How are you going to know what your priorities are? You won't, right? You can't. So that's why, you have to first know who you are. So false ego is when you still think you're the body, and then you base your decisions, your plans, your actions on the false, illusory idea that you are the body. Oh, I'm a male, I'm Brazilian, I'm this, and then you're like, okay, then I need this. No, it's all wrong. You're soul. So, oh, wait a second, I'm an eternal soul. That's the true me. I'm an eternal servant of God. Okay, so then everything else is different. Now I can have a proper planning and proper priorities established in my life. So it's very important, free from false ego. Now, several of the next qualities are going to be dependent on this one we just read, being free from false ego. And you're going to see how they're going to flow one from the other. So the next one is, who is equal in both happiness and distress? And this is a huge topic of the Bhagavad-gita, something Krishna talks about from the beginning to the end of the Bhagavad-gita. This is right in the middle of the Gita, and he's talking about this in the beginning, he talks about it in the end. And of course, what we're talking about here is equanimity. That's the word, equanimity. Equal, equanimity means equal state of mind. How does that mean? That whatever happens, you're equal, you stay the same. So, self-controlled, equal in both happiness and distress, which means whatever happens, whatever the world, whatever life brings me, I remain equal. I remain stable, in harmony, equipoised. Why? Because in yoga, you have a different focus. When you're a materialist, you're focused on matter, on the external situation of your body. So from your body onwards, like what's going on with my body, outside my body, and then there are things that are good, there are things that are bad, there's cold, there's heat, there's honor, there's disgrace, we have this duality, it's called duality. Profit, loss, good, bad. And that's what we do when we're not in the state of yoga. We're living in this roller coaster ride where we're like, oh, I hope it's not going to be bad today. Oh, it was good today. Oh, no, it was bad today. And you're like, oh, good, bad. And you go completely crazy, full of anxiety and fear, and etc. But in yoga, we take a step back. And now our focus is not on what life is bringing me, but on what I am going to bring to life. It's that great quote, don't ask what, the world can do for you, but what you can do for the world, America. But it's what can you do? Don't ask what the world's going to do for you, but what can you do for the world? So the focus is on me acting, which is wonderful. Why? Because I have full control of what I do to the world. I have zero control, practically speaking, of what the world does to me. Right? I cannot control the sun and the weather, and I can't control what other people are doing. I can't control the governments and the economy, and I can't control little invisible viruses from, trying to kill me. I can't really control that. I can do some things. I can mitigate the problem, but I can't really control it, right? So if my happiness depends on these things outside of my control, I will be in a permanent state of anxiety and fear. But if my focus is the yogic focus, the Bhagavad-gita instruction of focusing on my action, all of a sudden everything's different, because I should be able, at least if I practice, I can certainly control my reaction to the world. How do I react to the world? And then, so basically to cut it short, we focus on dharma and bhakti. So the yogi is always, what is my dharma? What is my action? What is the best of me in this situation? And bhakti, I want to do it as an offering to Krishna. That's it. Dharma and bhakti. And what's that? One thing, dharma and bhakti. I'm just doing the one thing. I have this one equanimity. I'm equal. Oh, something bad happened. Okay, what is my duty? And let me do that as a loving offering to God. Oh, something good happened. Okay, so what is my duty? And let me do that as a loving offering to God. Oh, something so happened. Okay, what is my duty? And let me do that as an offering to God. You see? One action. So, very important. Who is equal in both happiness and distress. Now, next one follows, still following. Who is tolerant? And here, tolerant means that you can take things that happen to you even though it wasn't the thing you wanted to happen. So when things, because it happens all the time, right? Your whole day, every day, right? Something's happening, you didn't want it to happen. You have a headache, your body hurts, your body aches, the weather isn't there, the government, people are mean to you, like all the time, every day, right? So all these things are happening every day. So how do you deal with these annoyances of life? So in yoga, why are we tolerant? Again, it all goes back to the false ego. Because I know I'm eternal soul, I'm not the body, I don't belong to this matter, I don't belong to the physical material world, I'm just here for now because I was silly in the past. I'm here, so I don't really care what happens here. I just want to be myself, dharma and bhakti, that's me. I just want to do my part. And so I'm tolerant because I have equanimity. Doesn't matter what happens to me because my focus isn't on what happens to me. It's what I do to the world. You see, the vector is going this way and not this way. And that's why I can be tolerant. And then, again, same sequence. Next point, always satisfied. And why are we always satisfied? Because my evaluation of satisfaction in life is no longer dependent on these random events outside of my control, i.e. life. I'm not like, it's not like these things that I have no control over. I don't even know they're coming, it happens. I mean, who planned the pandemic? Who planned anything? Like look back in your life and see how much you thought was going to happen and then it happened. You're like, no idea that was going to happen. I didn't expect that at all, right? So how can we always be satisfied? Because what I'm measuring, my satisfaction meter is measuring my output. How much of my action was in dharma and bhakti? And then if I train myself with a little bit of training and the right habits, you can pretty soon have a pretty good batting average. You can pretty soon okay, most of the time I'm doing my dharma and I'm in bhakti. I might not be perfect, I might not be this brilliant, perfect, I'm not an avatar or anything, but most of the time I'm doing my best in dharma and, I'm in bhakti, trying to get better, but I'm there. So, okay, I'm satisfied. Do you see? So you can always be satisfied because your focus is your action. Really important. Okay. Now, the next quality is what allows you to practice these other qualities. He says, self-controlled. Quality number 8, self-control. And this is a key point in the Bhagavad-gita. Chapter 6 of the Bhagavad-gita is all about self-control. Because Bhagavad-gita is telling you, yoga is telling you, like, you've got to command this, man. Somebody's got to take this, somebody's got to be in command, right? You can't have a car and nobody, well, these days you can't. A car, nobody's driving, but that's in the past. Well, these days you still can. But anyway, you can't have a vehicle that's not computer controlled being controlled by nobody, right? It's got to be controlled by something, either the computer or someone. Somebody has to be driving the car, something or someone has to be driving the car, or else it's going to crash. And your life is like that. Like, who is in command? If you're not controlling your life, if you're just, you're reacting just badly without thinking, according to emotions and the gunas, it's going to be a disaster, your life. Your life's going to be a disaster. So you have to assume command of your mind. That's yoga. You assume command of your mind. I'm going to control my life. Again, I'm not going to control the world. I can't do that. That's what we try to do. We're always trying to control the world. We try to control what other people do and say. But we can't. It's hopeless. But there is hope in trying to control what you do and say. We can control our actions. And so self-control, we want to become masters of ourselves. You've heard of the term Swami? Well, Swami means your master. Like if you're in Spanish or Portuguese, in Brazil, seu amo. Your master, master of yourself. So Swami means master of yourself. You have to become Swami, master of yourself. Because if you're not, then who is controlling you? What's going on, right? You're just walking around blindly, knocking yourself around, tripping over things. So you have to be self-controlled, okay? Now, we've done 8. And notice that these 8 qualities are totally non-religious, applicable to anyone. There's no spirituality, no religion. These are all qualifications for you to attain spirituality. So the last 2 are now going to be focused on spirituality. The first 8 weren't. So number 9, engaged in bhakti, in devotional service, with determination. So Krishna says, engage in bhakti, you have to be like seriously occupied. I like the word engaged with determination. It's not like a sentiment. Does this sound like a sentiment to you? Oh, love, yes, I have love for God. And then you don't do anything about it? No. Engaged, action. Devotional service with determination. Determination, priority number 1. This is serious. I really take my devotion seriously. I really want to be occupied. I really want to prioritize my devotion. So bhakti with determination, action. Really like put your action in place. Put your heart, your mind, your body, and with determination in action in bhakti. And then to finish off, last 10, with mind and intelligence fixed on me. And this is a very important point of yoga. Mind and intelligence fixed on me. This is the true meaning of spirituality. When your mind and intelligence are fixed on God. Not that you think you have some ritual to perform on some certain time of day or some time of the year. No. Your mind and your intelligence are actually constantly fixed on Krishna, on God. Mind, your thoughts, your emotions, what's going on here. Intelligence, how you analyze the world, your planning abilities, how you prioritize things. So these 2 fixed on Krishna. Krishna talks about this several times in the Bhagavad-gita. This is a key thing in yoga. Mind and intelligence fixed on Krishna. That's what yoga is. It's not just some religion, it's not rituals. We really want to have our mind and intelligence elevated to this point. So that's it. Those are the 10 qualities. And Krishna says, such a devotee is very dear to me. So if you want to become dear to Krishna, if you want Krishna to love, if you want to understand, like, what can I do to make myself dear to God? Krishna lays that out here very clearly. So let's just go over the 10 qualities again. Number 1, not envious. 2, a friend to all living entities. 3, does not think himself or herself a proprietor. 4, is free from false ego. 5, who is equal both in happiness and distress. Who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled. And then the last 2 spiritual ones, engaged in bhakti with determination and with mind and intelligence fixed on Krishna. So that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, if you thought this was helpful. I always want to hear from you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because I really need all your help in getting this channel to more people, to a greater audience. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful rest of your day with lots of love and peace. Hare Krishna.